You introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Melita Jordan. I'm the Director for the Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services. I just wanted to also respond to Commissioner Killeen. I do know that my new director, Melissa Fernandez, did mention to you that she would have this report prepared and sent to the committee in a couple of weeks. Post that, I did have a conversation with her. It usually takes us much longer to do that. It does have to be reviewed by me, and I have not had the opportunity to see it yet. And then it does go through the channel for the Communications Department and the Chief Operating Officer to review it as well and approve it, and then it will come to the committee.
I actually asked the question almost as a reminder to myself that
Not a
we're going to
problem.
be getting all the data in the very near future here
But we
on all
will
these
be-
programs.
Yes, we are working on all of that and making sure that the commission will get that for its review.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Oh,
I'm an abstain on this.
abstains. Okay, one abstention. All right, motion passed. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 3. Item 3 on the agenda. Requesting commission approval of a 2-year comparable source contract with 3 one-year options to renew with Spectrum Juvenile Justice Services.
Right, have someone from the administration?
Cecily Hoagland, Administrator in the Juvenile Youth Service Division, HHVS. This contract is for detention beds and residential treatment beds with Spectrum Juvenile Justice Services. It's a 2-year contract with 3 one-year renewals.
Okay, and I see this was a comparable source. Can you talk about why this is a comparable source?
So Spectrum, the last 2 times maybe the last 3 times it's been out for bids, they are the only contractor that has provided a proposal. They're the only contractor in our area that has enough bed availability for the number of kids that we need. So I think, so the last 3 years, they've been the only bidder, so.
Any questions from commissioners, discussion on this? Yes, Commissioner Killeen, Vice Chair.
Chair, can you remind me how long we've been using this facility an awful long time? Can you remind me how long that's been?
I think it's been since 2001.
And I would suggest, Madam Chair, I think this would also be of interest to committee members to go out there and take a little look at this facility because we've had so many kids out there for so many years.
And this is the Hamtramck location?
Highland
Town
Park.
Park.
Highland Park, that's right. Yeah. Any other questions, discussion from commissioners? All right, if none, is there a motion? It's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 4, an update on the Medical Examiner's Office by Janelle Allen, Chief Operating Officer, County Executive's Office.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am Janelle Allen, Chief Operating Officer with Wayne County Warren Evans Office. I really appreciate the opportunity to present an update to you this afternoon about the MEO office operations. I believe the last time that an update was provided, it was earlier this year, and University of Michigan was with us and provided an update on a number of issues and challenges. At that time, we clearly had recognized that we know that the current contract with the University of Michigan is scheduled to end on September 30th of this year. At that time, the University of Michigan had expressed strong interest in continuing and pursuing another contract with the county for the operations. While we were very happy to hear that, we did tell them that we were not looking just to renegotiate the same contract, but we really wanted to press reset, if you will, to look at what were the current needs and how best to meet those needs. As you all probably know, the University of Michigan has been operating and providing those services, the medical examiner's office, for over a decade now. It started in 2011, and at that time, the county just contracted for the professional services, meaning the pathologists, that they had moved over from being county employees to being University of Michigan employees. And then in 2014, I believe it was October of 2014, the University of Michigan assumed all of the staff and all of the operations. And so it was a transactional, contractual relationship between the county and the University of Michigan. Again, they ran everything, the day-to-day operations. And frankly, in hindsight, we realized that the county really did provide minimal oversight and engagement. Over the years, we have realized that we really need to take a different approach. And this is not to take anything away from the University of Michigan. We believe that some accomplishments, significant accomplishments have occurred with that relationship. In particular, the operations have been able to obtain accreditation by an organization, acronym's NAME, the National Association of Medical Examiners, which is a high achievement. We currently, though, are actually on a provisional accreditation because of significant staffing challenges, which you know have plagued this industry across the country. We also do have a number of facility issues, which also now has us on a provisional accreditation. But with that said, and with that understanding, U of M had expressed interest in continuing. And we also had inquired of and heard that the Wayne State University was also interested in at least exploring in partnering with the county to provide the medical examiner services. So we reached out to both of them and asked them both to submit a formal proposal to us. We initially set a deadline date of March 15th of 2022. I believe it was Wayne State University had asked for an extension. We offered the same to the University of Michigan. And then the new submission date was April 1st. Wayne State University submitted a proposal literally right before midnight on March 31st. And then on April 1st, when we did expect to receive a proposal from the University of Michigan, we actually received a phone call instead saying that their leadership had decided that they would no longer pursue the contract. While that was unexpected, we did proceed with doing our due diligence saying, okay, where do we need to go from here? And while we welcomed the proposal from Wayne State, we just did not assume that, oh, we'll just give a contract to Wayne State. Again, from our own internal engagement and realizing that what role the county needs to play, we realized that going forward, we would like to have a partner, and a partner who shares the same commitment, ownership in the success of the medical examiner operations. Under the current arrangement, it is the traditional, we would call a transactional contractual business relationship. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And again, we believe the tremendous accomplishments were achieved under that arrangement, but we actually think we need to use a different operating model. So what we have focused on over the last several weeks is extensive discussions with Wayne State University to see if their vision, if their commitment is really aligned with Wayne County and where we believe we need to take our medical examiner services. We want to be a model for our state, for our country. We have as you all probably know, we are the largest county. We have the largest medical examiner's office. We have a number of unique features in our office and just components that others just do not have to endure, if you will. In talking with Wayne State's representatives, they really have stressed that they want to partner. And again, what we've explained to them the difference what we see between a transactional partnership or relationship. Transactional is where there's a defined scope of services. One party provides the services, the other pays, no more, no less. Again, we're looking for something different. We want our partner to be equally vested in the success, to help us define success, and to have an investment and an ownership interest and not just that vendor transaction relationship. So again, after several weeks, We have had extensive discussions. We have provided up to over 10 pages of questions, which Wayne State has answered. We've met numerous times, and I am pleased to say that we do believe Wayne State has indicated to us and has conveyed to us that they do want to have a committed partnership with Wayne County to operate the medical examiner services, provide those services after the end of the University of Michigan contract. Now, our focus, as I said, has really been on the line. Are we aligned on the vision, the mission, the objectives of running the office? We realize, though, that there are a lot of finite details and complexities in running our office. That is going to take time to negotiate that type of contract. And unfortunately, time that we just can't sacrifice right now, because we do know that the staff at the office, they have grave concerns about the certainty or uncertainty of their employment now. So the Wayne State University and the administration, we've agreed to take a two-step process in going forward. We have agreed that we think we do want to contract, but in a two-step process, we've agreed to start with what we're going to call a partnership agreement. I believe in the university setting, they say they call it a letter of intent or memorandum of agreement. We're calling a partnership agreement because we want this to be a legally binding agreement where we memorialize our intent to partner and what is going to be our investments, our ownership interests, our respective roles. We're anticipating this to be a legally binding agreement, but not one that's full with legalese. This is not where we're going to have the terms and conditions about indemnification, insurance. It really is to memorialize, are we really aligned on the same page about the vision, the mission, the objectives and goals for the office going forward. We are in the process of developing that agreement. We each are taking a stab at our own drafts. We've agreed to exchange drafts on May 31st. We've also scheduled 7 hours of time to sit together and negotiate this to a final conclusion over a 2-day period. While we don't want to act hastily, we do know we must act expediently and urgently. I actually was able to lead 2 staff meetings over with the staff over at the medical examiner's office. And as you know, those are University of Michigan employees, so I've had to coordinate directly with the University of Michigan in having contact with their employees. And some of their employees are represented. And so being very cautious and respectful of those relationships, but I was asked to come speak directly to the staff as the executive leader on this engagement. Also working closely with me is Melita Jordan as the department head for the Health, Human and Veteran Services Department, in which the medical examiner's office is a division, as well as Brian Manning, who you all know was served for several years as the deputy department director for HHVS, and even a stint as the interim director. And Brian has been working closely with us as well. So in that, we had about a week ago, we went and met with the pathologist. They had asked to meet separately with us. And at that point in time, so I told them it was just to give an update on acknowledging that we had received a proposal from Wayne State University, but I did tell them upfront we have reached no agreement, nothing definitive to share. So we also use that as an opportunity for the pathologists to share their concerns. And I will tell you, they have provided extremely valuable and constructive feedback on things that they may want to make sure that with whomever we partner, and if the county is taking a more key role here, things to make sure we are considering. We've actually met with the pathologists twice now to get their feedback. They were provided a copy of the proposal, which I will say is more to me of a concept as opposed to the granular details. And I will tell you the pathologists have they've really dug through and evaluated the proposal. They've embedded comments in it. Again, they've been very, very helpful. And we've assured them that they will have a say and a seat at the table when we're negotiating the details. We then led an all-staff meeting the following day. I believe this was Friday, March 13th. And once again, in that meeting, I explained about the Wayne State University proposal. People were concerned about why the University of Michigan had not submitted a proposal. There were University of Michigan staff there who responded to that. I just told them that it was a surprise to us. They too were, their biggest concern is who will be the employer? Will they have jobs? Are we discussing cuts? I can tell you now that after our extensive discussions with Wayne State, that we are focusing our discussions now on that Wayne State will be the employer. At the beginning of these discussions, though, we said we are considering all options, which included should Wayne County become the employer for some or all of the staff. After our discussions, we do believe it is probably going to be best to have one employer, and that may probably be Wayne State. We haven't finalized that, but I did want to share that. In this partnership agreement that we plan on bringing to the commission for approval, because we'd like to get that buy-in approval that we are now legally bound that we're going to have a partnership with Wayne State, but it gives us enough a certainty where we can go start making commitments to staff. As you may know, with pathologists, there's a tremendous shortage. I've heard anywhere from 400 to 500 pathologist candidates exist in the country, and there are about 1,200 opportunities. And even U of M, with its prestige status, has had difficulty recruiting and retaining. A few things I'd like to point out why we think Wayne State would be an ideal partner. One is that we need a partner who's rooted physically and otherwise in Wayne County, not someone who's starting anew in Wayne County. An organization that is respected, that is well committed to Wayne County and to the region. We also need a partner. We said, I've asked a pathologist, so how do we get more? How do we attract? They say you grow your own talent. We need to have a commitment and programs where we will have our homegrown talent. And that is something we believe is an expertise of Wayne State. I'm a proud, I will tell you, alumni of Wayne State. But we do believe that they do, because of their regional approach in Wayne State, that we are very eager and we think we will have success in attracting and retaining talent. We're looking at, you may know that the University of Michigan has a fellowship program for where pathologists come in and rotate at the medical examiner's office. We're looking to have something set up equally so at Wayne State. The biggest thing too is that they've expressed a strong interest in doing this. They said that they see a role that they want to give back another way to our region and our county. And I believe that's one of a critical ingredient. You want a willing partner. I will tell you, staff has asked, have we considered an extension with the University of Michigan? My response was that we're considering all things to make sure that there's no disruption in services after September 30th. But it is difficult if someone wants out of a relationship and a partnership. You cannot make someone do that. With that said, though, as we're now getting to the finite details of what would go into an agreement, I will tell you that there might be an option or consideration that we may request some type of extension with the University of Michigan. We are not yet at that point. The other thing I've said with regard to a contracting process with Wayne State, we saw two steps. The first is this partnership agreement, one to make sure we're on the same page and to get some certainty where we can go start making commitments to staff in June. The second step then would be what we would call probably an operating agreement. That is where we would hammer out all of the nuts and bolts, the granular details about the day-to-day operations, including all of these finite components. I will tell you, I've learned so much about forensic pathology, histology, anthropology, toxicology. There are so many various components. Some things we've learned University of Michigan did in-house, some things they contracted out. We need to figure out all those details. Again, I will assure you that our goal is to have the smoothest transition with no disruption in services. With that, as I said, we are expecting to have this partnership agreement hammered out by next Thursday. We would like to submit that to the commission and get it to the commission by, we're proposing January 7th. And then ideally that this committee would be willing to hear it and consider it at your next meeting, I believe, which is scheduled for June 14th.
I think you said January, but.
I'm sorry, I mean June.
Okay, June 7th. Okay.
Yes. One other point I would like to mention, because I'm sure people have questions about the building, the facility, which I would tell, as we know, we have had so many issues with that building. And I don't know how many people realize that that building was designed based on a building in, I understand, Southern Florida. And you could tell that that probably was not the best model for our climate here. And the building is over 20 years old. Prior to our circumstances now, 2 years ago, actually right before the pandemic, we had actually decided, the administration, that we have got to invest in that building. We have got to renovate it and bring it up and expand its life. Right now, my understanding is that we must replace the roof if we do nothing else, if we're going to continue in that building for any amount of time. So we actually did a review working with our buildings team and came up with a plan, a renovation plan that actually would bring and expand the life of that facility for another 10 to 15 years. And this would be for, I think this is before the pandemic, so before inflation, it was in about the $4.5 million range. I'm sure that cost has increased significantly because of inflation right now. Part of Wayne State's proposal, they have said they are aware of the planned renovations, and they proposed two options. One is to continue with that, the county would take the lead, or they've also proposed perhaps the building, outfitting another building, a building that I believe they own. It's on Warren, I believe, and I believe they've said it's the old Carmanos Cancer Institute. We haven't seen the building or the facility. And that building would be outfit to be for the day-to-day operations, as well as they say, even an academic program. I think that everyone who's familiar with our current facility all believe we need to do our due diligence to see if the other option, the new facility, it may be far more prudent if we're going to be investing funding there where it could be more aligned with our today's needs in the 2022 and beyond, as opposed to really trying to retrofit the current facility. We have not gotten into any detailed discussions about the facility, but that would be a part of our next phase of discussions. We're talking about the operating.
Thank you for that extensive report. One of the questions I think I have is, we're performing an audit right now. Are we looking at what is in or potentially in the audit to look at best practices or issues or concerns, so that when we're looking at a new or partnership or negotiating a new partnership, that we look for those issues that we're currently having so that we don't have them again? Are you coordinating with the audit department or?
We have not done so yet, but we absolutely will. I would tell we absolutely welcome the Auditor General, Marcella Porras, her teams and her input. We find their audits very helpful, very insightful. So we actually were just inquiring, we probably need to reach out to see when does she expect her audit to be completed. But I would say that that we believe what we'll find in there is what will get embedded more so into the operating agreement.
Okay.
But absolutely, we welcome and will absolutely be mindful of and considerate of the findings and recommendations that are in that audit.
Okay, and so the meeting on the 7th, what, I guess, if we're looking at the findings of the audit, we probably won't have that by the 7th. So
The first agreement, though, is the partnership agreement.
Right.
That's really just memorializing that we're on the same page for partners, that we have the same vision, the same mission.
Okay.
So I believe the audit, any audit findings, those will be relevant to the operating agreement, which we would anticipate coming a couple of months later.
Okay, I just didn't know if you needed to discuss that prior to the 7th at all.
Understood. And we
Okay.
plan on getting the agreement, as we say, into the commission, but I believe your meeting then is on June 14th.
Okay, and you talked a little bit about the staffing issues, or that that Wayne State, I believe you said, Wayne State would hire their own people. Is that?
I was saying that Wayne State would become the employer, but I would think that the revision recognizing that With the union staff, they have certain rights as far as if they do have bargaining or bumping rights, we call them bumping, I think they call it something else, if they chose to remain their employment with the University of Michigan. What I'm saying is I believe Wayne State would be very interested in retaining the employees that are in that office.
Great, great.
If they do not choose to retain employment with the University of Michigan or choose to go elsewhere. I know
And
we
how about-
absolutely want to retain the pathologists.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask, the pathologist or the ME, will they continue on with us or?
That would be their choice. Because they are U of M employees right now. And I do believe, I don't know if they all do, but I do know some also have faculty appointments with the University of Michigan. And the arrangement with Wayne State absolutely does envision also having faculty appointments for the pathologists.
How about the medical examiner?
That's meaning,
Will he stay on, Dr. Smith?
so we have not had any specific discussions there.
Okay.
Yeah, we have not discussed at all who would be the appointed medical examiner.
Thank you. Any commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many staff are you talking about?
So they currently have, they have a total of 38 positions, I believe. They are not all filled. I know they have a few pathologists, but right now I believe they have 38. It's either 37 or 38.
Thank you.
I will say this, that in looking at the accreditation standards for the caseloads, that we are envisioning that we may need to have more pathologists than what are currently slated for the office.
Commissioner Dobb? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regarding the facility, the equipment that the pathologists use, is that owned by Wayne County or is that owned by U of M?
Wayne County.
Oh, okay, so that will all stay with us.
Yes.
And then would Wayne State, if they're proposing outfitting a new building using the old Carmanos Institute, would they provide any equipment or would we just use what we have?
That's
Is
all
that to
subject
be
to
determined?
negotiation.
Okay,
We have not gotten into those details at all.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Janelle. I appreciate you being here and giving us an update. And I did want to ask is at some point, is there plans to examine the best practices and to make visits to other ME offices around the state or another comparable size department? And even if it's in Ohio or someplace like that, is there plans to do that right now or has that been done?
Well, I'll tell you, we didn't have plans to physically go on, but we absolutely have been researching other offices. And I would tell you the pathologists, again, have been very helpful in looking at best practices in other offices. But as you probably know, we are the largest in the state, but we have looked at other either larger sizes like Cook County. I know in particular, I don't have my list here, that yes, we absolutely have been researching how the operations are done that are comparable to our, we'll say, demographics and logistics here.
I think one of the things that we're probably all very concerned about is the processing of the deceased and how that everything is handled, the communication, proper storage, and all those issues that came out that were a problem. And there's got to be somebody that, another facility that has a better grasp on how to handle that and maybe bring it up to date also. But is this model, the operational model that you're envisioning, has that been used by any other ME office?
I do believe this is one of our brainchilds, and in part, I would tell you because of the timing and one that we are moving from a transactional. I think with the partnership is twofold. One is to memorialize and make sure that the words we're saying, we really do have the same interpretation. Also for expedience, that we realize we need to get a legally binding agreement that the commission supports ideally, so we can go make commitments to the staff. Frankly, I would tell you if we had maybe longer time, we might just be looking at one type of agreement, but we actually think this serves, again, dual purposes here to make sure that we really are aligned on how we envision this partnership operating going forward.
The only thing I have a concern about is how that when there's a definition and a delineation of what the county's responsibility is and what the agreement calls for from Wayne State, that there's something with teeth in it that requires us to do what we committed to do and them to do what they're committed to do. But I just will be interested to see how that how that looks. And I'm open-minded, but I'm very concerned based on the fact of all the issues that we've had there. And I did want to, I think that's all I have right at this moment, but thank you again.
If I may comment too about, and to say that clearly we are aware of the challenges and share the concerns. And we believe that side really comes more from the administrative side of the office. I don't think that there's any question. Of course, you may have just mishaps in certain very rare instances when you're on the professional pathology side. I don't think that's been the challenge. We believe it really has been far more on that administrative and the public facing side. And we absolutely have raised those concerns with Wayne State and said, assured that that has got to be equally important as far as addressing the administrative, the public facing, the customer service side, as well as the actual pathological work. And they have assured us that they are equally committed to doing that as well as the actual autopsies.
Madam Chair, on another issue, I'll hold off, but I did want to ask Janelle if she would stick around for a few minutes at the end of this discussion.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Vice Chair Colleen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the report, Ms. Allen. I do believe that the accreditation that was achieved under the University of Michigan stewardship was the first time ever that our MEO's office had been nationally accredited.
That is my understanding.
Yes. And when we handed it off to the University of Michigan and county employees became University of Michigan employees, didn't the collective bargaining agreements go over as well?
I don't know if that's the case, but I do know that the employees who are represented by AFSCME, but I thought they may be from different locals, but they are AFSCME.
Oh yeah, they might have been a University of Michigan AFSCME local. But as you're talking about this, I'm reflecting on the change of the mental health agency to a mental health authority. And certainly the sensitivity around staff who feels like, uh-oh, the rug's being pulled out of me. What's going to happen to my employment? Am I still going to have a union contract? What's going to happen to my retirement and all that? So a lot of sensitivity around those issues for staff.
I will say this, that Wayne State clearly has acknowledged that they will recognize the represented staff. And I believe they also have asked me, again, don't know if it's separate local, but they thought that that would make it even a smoother transition.
And I know there's going to be more to come on all of this, but I'm just mentioning it now. Wayne State University still have their School of Mortuary Science?
Yes.
And I don't believe does University of Michigan have one? I don't believe that's the case. No. So again, there's going to be more to come on this. I have family in the funeral business, and knowing the kind of intimate relationship between funeral directors and medical examiners. I look at this as another real opportunity. Funeral directors all over Southeast Michigan graduated out of Wayne State University. And so I think it's a real opportunity with that relationship between the funeral directors and the ME's office to be more in sync and more sensitivity from Wayne State University for the issues surrounding that. So thank you very much for the report. I look forward to the forthcoming agreements. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Colleen. I talked about a tour. Is there a way you can arrange that?
Yes.
So we can look at the facility and see how old it is and the renovations that are needed and all that good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, we absolutely will do that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a good one. All right, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
There are no such other, Commissioner Anderson.
I think this might be the proper time to bring this up. Just wanted to ask, Ms. Allen and Mrs. Jordan, maybe, I don't know if you want to double team this or not, but I just wanted to find out, has there been a thorough examination of how the COVID issue was handled and everything? Has there been anything as far as a learning discussion that might have provided us some preparation for if we have another next time? Analysis, I guess what I'm looking at. And I know we're still dealing with issues.
Good afternoon. My name is Melita Jordan. I'm the Director for the Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services. And you're absolutely correct, Commissioner Anderson, that we are certainly still dealing with a pandemic, and we're certainly continuing to deal with COVID. According to MDMDS, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, clearly we are in a post-recovery phase is where they have us at this time. And I think when a few months back, we did mention that there would probably be opportunities where they would have a rise in case rates, and then we would have a decrease in case rates. And so you clearly see at this point, we are having a rise in case rates. And that's actually across the country. So we are at a time where, again, for the last 3 months, we were actually very low. Many of you were clearly made aware of that, but now the upswing is here. We have more data that's helping us take a look at things. One of the things that the CDC had started just a few months ago, however, Michigan just came on board in the last 2 weeks, is with wastewater. So we recognize that, of course, wastewater is an opportunity for us to see where hotspots are at in various areas in various jurisdictions. And so therefore, we are now reporting out what those numbers are in terms of wastewater that allows us to know that the virus, of course, is excreted, of course, in feces as well. So we're able to know that. And so we're able to watch these areas as well as notify those within those particular jurisdictions. We gave the COVID report earlier today as well as of yesterday, and we're continuing to do that. And I do recall Commissioner Baker McCormick mentioned that at times that she would call upon us to give a report. And so we stand ready when you want a report that we can provide that to you as we previously did before. So I'm happy to do that. And when you asked, have we looked back? We are analyzing on a daily basis, again, the information that we get at the state level, as well as looking at what's happening across the country. We are in high transmission rate at this point, so we are encouraging mask indoors. We did not mandate it. However, we are strongly encouraging on CDC guidelines that we wear a mask indoors. In addition to, we still have numerous testing sites as well as opportunities for people to be vaccinated as well. You know that previously we launched a very aggressive marketing campaign that was throughout the county, and we were able to get a number of individuals in to get vaccinated. We are also continuing to offer boosters as well. And so, as you know, just last week, the CDC and the FDA did approve Pfizer for our 5 to 11 years old for their 3rd dose. And so again, we're encouraging that. It would be the 4th dose of those that are 5 to 11 who are immunocompromised. We are encouraging all adults 50 and above also to make sure that they get their booster shots as well. And so once again, there will be in June, the FDA will be releasing information as it relates to the individuals receiving Moderna for also a booster dose at the 18 years old or at the younger level, at the 5-year age and over. So that will be coming out in June. So the meeting will be more than likely occurring in the next 3 weeks, according to the information that was released yesterday from the CDC. Is there anything else I can share for you while I'm here?
I guess what I was looking for is whether or not there's been an organized effort with the state, or whether it's internally within Wayne County, just to see how the distribution of the vaccinations, the mask, and everything else, how that was handled, and whether or not we can improve on that if we were to have another major outbreak.
Sure, and I can address that for you as well. We work very closely with the state in terms of this. And yes, we do have data in terms of how we distributed the masks that were provided from the state. We also can tell you what jurisdictions and the number of people that receive them. We can tell you that we are prepared. We do have our home kits. We also have masks in storage. So anytime that we have a community or a jurisdiction that is low, they have a phone number to call us, and we are dispatching that information to them. And so we are prepared, and we have looked at in retrospect, again, what we can do better. And so therefore, we're trying to make sure that we are reaching out to all sectors, including commissioners, including supervisors, including mayors of the townships. We had them also participate in our marketing campaign. They did radio, they did community meetings. We also, including myself, have attended a number of the meetings that some of you have had for your communities, that we have showed up via Zoom, and or we showed up in person for whatever meetings that you have had, so that we could personally address your communities and answer questions on a regular basis. And so we also had a 211 number that people could call, and we provided information as well. So we are prepared for whatever comes at us to make sure that we can keep the communities protected and safe. And that has been our goal, and that is continuing to be our objective that we are working on a daily basis. And we have information, whatever you think that you need from me, that my office is prepared to provide it to you. You're more than welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Is there any other questions from commissioners? No? All right. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Public comments?
Any public comments in the audience here today? On Zoom, any public comments? Any emails?
No emails.
And so there's no public comments on Zoom. All right, next item.
Adjournment.